You don't have to like, you don't have to share, but if you could just give me about a minute of your time, I think you might enjoy this. Two best friends, roughly about the age of 4 and 6. These two hung out together all the time. This is a...
Hey, Mikey. Catch me if you can.
This is a story about two best friends. What makes this super creepy is that this is absolutely true. So Mickey and Nick, two little boys, they became best friends during the worst time you could be alive in Europe.
Koliko ti je godina? Kako ti ime? Molim vas, budite veoma strpljivi. Samo malo. Svi koji žele da ostanu, mogu da ostanu.
November 7th, 1995. A small town with roughly about 4,000 people was invaded. The next morning, 90% of those people...
Ništa od onoga što se kod nas podrazumijevalo da se mora dokazati.
You would think having to experience something like that, a boy named Mickey and a boy named Nick would be absolutely terrified nonstop. However, it was quite the opposite. These two watched Popeye. They thought they were absolutely invincible.
I don't see any spinach cans. You gotta grow it first, dummy.
During the invasion of their small town, Mickey and Nick were playing marbles on the front yard while thousands of people were battling for their property, for their lives. Mickey and Nick were sitting there playing marbles. They looked at each other fearless. They were actually doing push-ups and they said, yo, we're not scared of them. We got spinach in the backyard over in Mom's garden. So if they come up to us, we're just gonna go eat some spinach and turn into Popeye. It's not at all how it works, but who's to tell a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old any different, right? But fear is something that we're both about to experience on a whole new level. One cold winter night, as Mickey and Nick were cutting through a yard trying to get home because it started getting pretty late. Now, a lot of kids grew up with the street lights are on, come home. But Mickey and Nick, they just knew they had to be home before Mom and Dad got worried. What? Nick decides to cut through a neighbor's yard. Now, this was one of those scary neighbors. Like, especially if you remember being a kid, one of those scary neighbors you just try to avoid at all costs because you never know what they might do. Not to mention, this man had a dog that was a Kurdish Kangal, and if you don't know what those look like, they look like this. Cutting through his backyard, Mickey looks up because he notices that this man is actually on his back porch. So they both hit the ground. Both boys start army crawling, but it was too late. He had already seen him.
Didn't I tell you twerps to stay off my freaking grass?
Mickey and Nick stand up and just completely bolt, but this man chases them down on foot, and he's standing about 5 or 6 feet in front of them when he does the unthinkable. A military hunting knife that looks similar to this was thrown at complete dead aim at Mickey. However, luckily the blade is not what hit him. The butt of the knife hit Mickey square in the chest. Nick completely panics. He takes off running and he goes and gets Mickey's parents.
Mom, Mickey needs help.
Mickey's parents come out, so Nick starts explaining, and he kind of made it a little worse because the first thing he told Mickey's parents was, hey, I believe that Mickey is
dead.
Automatically, the parents freak out because of all this loss that's going on. That's a pretty good probability, right? But Nick continues and tells Mickey's parents that homie next door threw a military knife at Mickey.
To stay off my freaking grass!
By the time both the parents got there, because now it's Nick's parents and Mickey's parents, by the time all 4 adults had showed up with Nick, who was still completely in tears and panicking, because little did he know that his buddy was still alive. Now, in this town, there was martial law, so laws were a little bit different than they are standardly here in the US. Mickey's father automatically goes and knocks on the door, so this man does come out. What happened next is, right on site, right in front of Mickey and Nick. Just a short few weeks later, Mickey is having something like blackout anxiety, but every time it happens, he has zero memory of what just happened. These attacks got so severe that Mickey started bleeding out of his nose, out of his eyes, out of his ears, and out of his mouth. Obviously, Mickey's mom panics and she takes him to a doctor. The doctor can't find anything wrong, but this is where it starts getting interesting. Now suddenly it's a every single night thing. Mickey would go to sleep, but his mom knew not to go to bed because Mickey would get up and be completely paranoid, doing some type of weird sleepwalking, always pointing at the window saying, there's that man, there's that man. But who was the man? Who was he talking about?
You all know me. You all know me very well.
Now you tell me, how did somebody that lives on the whole opposite side of the globe hear or know about the Hat Man? Mickey has never heard anything about no Hat Man. Matter of fact, the scariest thing that both of the boys knew about was the possibility of aliens.
Hey, that sounds like my type of friends, though.
Almost every single night now, Mickey's mom had to stay right beside his bed at all times because Mickey would wake up, his eyeballs would roll to the back of his head, blood would just pour out of his nose nonstop. Mickey's mom would go take a bath towel and hold it under his nose, trying to get the bleeding to stop. So as time progressed, things got worse. Suddenly, Mickey started saying things in foreign languages that were completely alien to him. He had no idea about these languages. I could be wrong here, but I do want to say one of them was probably Spanish or Latin. What made it even worse was Nick and Mickey weren't allowed to hang out anymore because the parents obviously jumped down the blame game rabbit hole. Like, it's your fault that this happened. No, it's your kid. No, it's your kid. No, my kid's an angel. It's your kid.
Catch me if you can!
Months and months go down the road, right? So Mickey and Nick are starting to get just a little bit distant because of their parents. They still do sneak and hang out with each other, but when the parents found out, so it wasn't fun for either of the boys. The night terrors got worse. The bleeding got so severe that Mickey was becoming anemic. Now, after a few months, Mickey's mom has absolutely zero choice, so she takes Mickey to a top-tier German hospital. Mickey underwent stress tests, psyche evaluations, blood tests, x-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, full body scans, the whole nine. No doctor could find anything wrong. Or were they just looking in the wrong field for this?
Now, I know this sounds pretty wild, but this is 100% a true story.
So Mickey's mom decides she wants to try something different, because at this point it's been a little over 8 months and all the symptoms have gotten worse. She takes Mickey to a Turkish whispering witch.
The payment I require is more than just paper.
This witch, if you will, orders Mickey's mom to collect 5 stones from 5 different locations and water from 5 different streams. Then she tells her,
"Don't let Mickey eat anything. I need him to come with a completely empty belly."
So without options, Mickey's mom did exactly what she was asked to do. She collects the stones, she collects the water, she doesn't let Mickey eat that night or that day, which sounds pretty screwed up if you know what I'm sizzling. But then she takes him over to this whispering witch's house. She pulls out a ball of yarn and starts wrapping it around the left wrist, puts the arm straight out, then starts wrapping it around the right wrist.
If one side is no good, the host has been invaded.
And pulls him back. Next thing you know, Mickey finds himself completely hogtied, laying on his chest on the floor with his wrists attached to his ankles. This woman pulls out a pot, fills it with water, puts some type of oil in there. She starts whispering some weird stuff. She takes what's equivalent to a $5 bill today, dips it in that water, rubs it on Mickey's face, puts it back in the pot. She said,
"If this is what it is, I may not be able to banish it, but I can pass it on to someone greedy."
She then takes a piece of lead, melts it, and pours it into the water. Now what happened in front of Mickey and his mother makes no sense. As the lead hit the water, 2 hands came up holding a heart, and I'm not talking about the heart like this. It was a human heart, a perfect design of 2 hands holding a heart and a dagger aimed at the heart. At this point, the woman is still whispering, looking down at the pot, but her eyes are closed. Without a single glance at the pot, the lady opens her eyes and stares Mickey directly in his eyes, and the first thing she said is,
"Why are you alive?"
At that moment, when she said that to Mickey, he completely panicked because it's almost like they shared a thought, almost like, hey, we just both looked at a picture. And how do I know this is a true story? I'm Mickey. That's my middle name. The lady looked at me and she said,
"Why are you alive?"
She described that day to the T, from that morning till that incident and what happened at that man's house. She said, "You were supposed to die that day."
Mom, Mickey needs help.
Now this lady takes a bag that looks like a tea bag, and it does look like some type of herbs like tea, and puts the stone in there. The water in the pot came from the 5 locations that Mickey's mom, my mom, got the water from. That was a lead pouring ritual. She told my mom to take that tea bag, take the money out, Put it in the middle of a crossroad and put the tea bag on top of it. That way the money can be visible. Now, what kind of sense does this logically make? Because this is something that really happened to me, and I wish that someone out there could explain this further to me. Now, obviously, my mom asked, how do I know if this works? The old lady turns back and says,
You'll know it worked when this stops.
However, she also gave me an amulet that was like a pyramid, almost like it had the Eye of Ra. That's one of the reasons why I got this tattoo. I was instructed by this woman to never open this amulet. Within this amulet was a small Bible verse, but it was in the Quran, the Muslim Bible. I was instructed to never take this off. However, around my 11th birthday, I took that necklace off. I wore it from like 4 to 11. That's a pretty long time, but I took it off. And I popped it open and I found some Arabic writing on some little piece of paper. Now, I'm not Arabic, so I have zero idea what the hell that said. But what do you think started immediately after? That very next day, I was in about 6th grade. I go to school, my palms are sweating. I start having anxiety. I start having panic attacks. Now, the nosebleeds and all that stuff never came back, but the Hat Man did.
You all know me. You all know me very well.
The payment I require is more than just paper.